Hey everybody, you got David Abrams here along with Don Wilson.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, everybody? Sorry for being late, but we are excited to be here. We have a value-packed hour. I'm really going to deep dive into Don's journey. Gary says pop pop here in chat, which now his main, slogan now these days. It used to be hey, hey, hey.
Yeah, I guess it works. People love it. It catches on. It has something to do with the bubble popping. No one really knows. So I think that's what part of makes it work.
I never realized. I never got the connection between GearBubble and pop pop, but that makes so much sense now.
That's the point. You kind of don't get it, and then you do a little.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, guys, as always, this is a totally free call. We'll have a lot of information to go over. I'm just going to really try to pick Don's brain as much as possible. And at the end, we're going to answer questions. I would love for you guys to bring questions. Let us know what's going on in your mind, how we can help you. Also, this week's call, as we started last week, is focused on donating $1 for every registrant to the Labradors and Dogs Rescue. So I will announce the total registrant number at the end, and we'll make that donation for Don at the end of this webinar. So hey everybody, let's go ahead and get started. We have a lot to talk about and Don has a lot to cover. So Don, take us to where you began. What is your life like? How are you getting started? How did you even become Don Wilson Pop Pop guy? How'd you get there?
Well, I guess it started at the Warrior Forum a long time ago. I don't know exactly what year. I feel like a dinosaur at this point. But like 5 years ago or so, 6 years ago, got into internet marketing, started doing little fan pages, ran into a bunch of people on the Warrior Forum, which is pretty much dead now. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if anybody still goes to that place. But it was really cool back in the day. There was a ton of internet marketers there. It was the first big forum. That's why I was learning a lot of my internet marketing. Picked up a few courses, learned how to do Facebook, started getting really, really, really good at it. And then eventually quit my job as a debt collector. Hated that thing. And like I said, I got really good at Facebook and started doing ads and got good enough to where I started teaching it. And we were making thousands of dollars a day with CPA offers. And eventually figured out how to do Facebook ads with physical products and kind of stumbled upon T-shirts. And from T-shirts went to mugs and all kinds of different stuff. And here we are at GearBubble. So
that's awesome. And you can just condense your story that we're going to break down here over the next 30 minutes into like 3 seconds. So I'm going to break it down farther. So you started as a debt collector, didn't know anything about internet marketing. How'd you even, you just stumbled upon it one day and, what was life like? Like, what was your mentality when you first got into it?
I was broke. I don't know what else. I don't know if that was a mentality or just the state of the budget union, but definitely was broke and wanted to make some money. Wasn't happy with where things were at. Knew that I was a really hard worker. It was first in my company, never a company had ever been. And I did either telemarketing or sales or phone sales of some sort or debt collection. And knew that since I was always first everywhere I went, I could probably do something a little bit better and maybe make something work for myself. So I went to work every day in the morning, and then I went to school every day at night for like another 4 hours. I was going full time. And then after that, whatever the hell sleep I sacrificed at the end of the day after that, spent online at the Warrior Forum, just kind of Googling whatever I could, didn't go out and party very much, and everybody else was partying. I was just kind of working on trying to make this thing work. And I started this website called beatdebttoday.com because I was a debt collector. And I was going to teach people how to beat all like their debt with the collection laws and loopholes. Spent like 6 months on it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Didn't work. Didn't work at all.
What?
So I tried to SEO it. I tried to write blog posts. I tried to do content marketing, try to put some squeeze pages up. The one thing I probably didn't do well enough was try to sell things. So it didn't really grow very far. Didn't know what I was doing, but I learned. I learned all the stuff that didn't work. I learned kind of all the stuff that wasn't working for me, and eventually stumbled upon the Warrior Forum. I think I was looking for like a Twitter bot or something random on Google and just randomly found a sales page into the Warrior Forum and stumbled into the abyss of internet marketing. And
you got sucked in, man.
I got sucked in. And from there, I found Facebook. And from Facebook, I started seeing some success. I think I landed my first real good money was landing a local client, building their fan page out and actually building their brand presence on Facebook, which went pretty well. And then once I figured out how to do like PPC to niches, I quit everything else I was doing. It was great because then I had my own entrepreneurial thing going that was working.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So sounds like you first started with a little bit of services. What was kind of like that big breakthrough there that even got you services? What changed in the broke mentality to getting the services?
I just landed a client that it was random. I started ranking some videos on YouTube for like Wichita Roofing or like Wichita Dental, and Wichita Roofing landed me a roofing client, oddly enough, because I put a video up and it was really easy. I just went on Fiverr, I spammed a bunch of backlinks at the video, and it had like Wichita Roofing in the title, and they were trying to rank their site for it, and I ranked in like 3 days for everything that they were on, and I had a phone number on the bottom of it, and they ended up calling me, and I sold them pretty much a website, oddly enough, not SEO, and then ended up branding their fan page for them, making that work because I could get them more leads that way. So that's what we did.
That's awesome. And Wyatt, I don't know if he's on this call, but Wyatt has a plugin, which, by the way, Wyatt's my co-founder here, but he has a plugin that he did in his previous business where he did that exact thing and made a website that you would rank for a specific term and get you service-based clients in that industry. So that's, I guess, a tactic that never dies. It's still really good for getting clients. But all right, so you got that first client, you get into PPC. Let me back up for a second here. When did you get into your yo-yo website? Because I want to know about that.
Oh, dude, the yo-yo website, I've been yo-yoing my entire life since I was a little kid. I used to travel around the nation and go to these little contests. It was a hobby that I was into, and I was super competitive. I ended up being like 12th in the world for 1 year. So I just did that as my main hobby when I was a lot younger. And eventually, when I figured out how to do marketing, I actually opened up a little niche website. All I did was tinker around with it for a little bit, put some actual content up, had some fun making some videos. And I did like a really viral contest. I went on a forum, and I think it was one of Frank Kern's like viral giveaway cash machine style thingies that it was really technical and a pain in the ass to set up. And we put it on there, gave away some yo-yos, and we ended up generating hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of leads a day for free without spending any money on traffic. It was really cool. You can probably find my videos on YouTube. I see you smiling and laughing about it right now. So if you Google Don Wilson yo-yo, you'll probably have a pretty good smile for a few minutes. But yeah, that was mainly my hobby when I was a young kid.
That's awesome. And what would you say, like, so you went after actual service-based clients and you got into real PPC, and it sounded like you did, the passion project and also the work project. Where did you find made you the most money, or what was like the best move for you? Was it just kind of not going after passion, but going after something you knew worked, and you were going after a tactic that worked and you were just trying to go deeper into that? Or like, where did you find your attention and your best efforts being spent, especially just getting into it?
I picked up a course from Simple Spencer a long time ago called 1 Penny Clicks on the Warrior Forum. I taught how to do Facebook ads. Basically, you put those little right-hand side ads on Facebook, and you grow these little niche pages. And I just blew it up with the Pitbull fan page. As soon as it started working, I went from like 0 to, I think on the Pitbull fan page, went from 0 to 10,000 fans in a weekend. On the Gun Rights page that we did, I think we went from 0 to 10,000 fans in like a day. And the traffic strategies that we learned there, I had no clue how to monetize all this traffic at the time. But I knew if I was getting this type of traffic for like $5-10, that I needed to keep getting it for as much as I could, which was good. We built a fan page in the Pitbull niche up to like over 1 million fans really, really quickly. And then this was before there was any e-commerce that was really, at least in our marketplace. I'm sure e-commerce was working for bigger businesses, but like the average Joe coming online and advertising with Facebook to e-commerce wasn't really happening yet at this time. So we built up these really big dog pages, me and a couple of buddy of mine. We had pit bull ones, German Shepherds, Rottweilers, Chihuahuas, Shih Tzus, and everything in between. And there was a CPA offer called the Pet Photo Contest. And as a buddy of mine that was the affiliate manager over at Max Bounty, is now the affiliate manager for Shopify, Adam Malthus, and he hooked us up with that offer and gave us a little bump on the CPA payout. And we were just blasting it to our Facebook fan pages, like 10, 12 posts a day. And I think I was making at the peak of it like $3,000 a day. It started out at like 100, and then we were like, holy shit, this works. So we were like, all right, what if I post it more than once a day? And then we moved it to like 300. And then like, what if I just post it all day? And that's all I do. And then we went to 3,000, but we kind of dulled down our pages a little bit with that tactic. That's what's got the first big, like, this is where the money is online, that you can buy traffic and convert it into way more money than what you paid for it.
That's amazing. That's really cool to hear. So is that kind of how you've made your progress? You've just kind of tinkered and found what works and then just dive into it more? Because you've kind of led the industry on some levels for Facebook advertising. Obviously, you work with experts and stuff like that. But you did a lot of really cool stuff. Obviously, now with GearBubble and what you guys are always on, kind of on the innovative cutting edge here. Are you just looking at what's working and trying to dive into it more? Or like how do you kind of move forward?
For the most part, I mean, if you listen to the market, they'll tell you for the most part what they're doing, what's working. And I'm really good at being in the pulse of the market. So pretty much every group's out there. If it's a GearBubble group, Kingpinning group, any group that's out there that's e-commerce focused, I'm in it. And I'm looking at it every single day, looking at what people's struggles are, looking at who's doing the $2 million screenshots, and looking at who's doing their first sale online. What does the person that's the first sale online need? What does the person that's building that big, giant, huge brand that's doing $35,000 to $100,000 a day need? And they're different needs in different markets, different pieces. So you can tell, like, when Teespring was really big, for example, people needed a simple way to monetize all that traffic. If I could get like a bajillion likes for 5 cents and spam in the newsfeed all day, all I needed was a nice global offer. Then T-shirts kind of got a little saturated, and people could tell that. The niches could tell that. So we started launching mugs and did really, really well. Mugs are not saturated still, but having a diversification of on-demand products was a clear need even a couple of years ago before we could even bring it to the marketplace. I knew it was there. And a lot of that is because I'm a seller. I knew exactly what I wanted. I'm like, my guys are tired of T-shirts. They'd like to see something different. And I don't want to go back to pet photo contests because the CPF was pretty spammy. It would have the ability to collect the phone number. You uploaded a photo of the dog, and then you entered into this long donkey funnel that they'd call you. They'd be like, oh, look, we got Fluffy's photo here on a new photo book for you. And they hard sold the shit out of you, which was great for me because all I had to do was drive traffic. But once I looked like 45 days deep in that funnel, I'm like, I'd like to sell some other stuff. So we kept bringing more on-demand stuff. It's worked really well. Jewelry's worked really well for us because it's got a nice perceived value to the customer. It's got good margin for sellers to scale. I'm a PPC guy. I know that I need to either get a really high average order value so I can get a big enough margin to scale in today's current PPC market, or I need something that the consumer will pay a good amount for just that product that I can make $25, $30 a unit on the first sale, or it's really tricky and tough to scale with today's PPC costs. So being a seller has helped me a lot because I know right now PPC costs are higher than they've ever been before for the different e-commerce markets. You try and sell a shirt right now, unless you're doing politics or coupling it or doing a really unique, trendy angle, it's going to be tough. You know, it's just things that I've recognized being a platform owner and foremost being a seller of all the same products anyways.
So you're still selling a lot right now? You try to stay in the selling mode still?
Yeah, I have to sell a lot because I also do split testing and everything's on our platform, and I do it with our own traffic instead of the sellers.
That's super smart. And it also sounds like, just so everyone knows that, you know, this is something we talk about, I feel like almost every week, but it's about breaking down the avatar and really knowing that there's different avatars. Everyone has their own pain points, whether it's the beginner, the experienced seller, and you're kind of grouping the pain points and needs of each kind of bucket avatar. And you guys have really dialed in on how to make an experience for each one of them. So it doesn't matter, I don't think, the product, whether it's SaaS, e-commerce, whatever, you have to know that avatar. Let me ask you, you got to the point where you started getting good at PPC. You started realizing you needed more things than T-shirts. How'd you get into SaaS? And I know a little bit about, the early GearBubble store. I would love to get into that. But how did you decide to do a SaaS software? How did you decide to become a founder in that way?
I was told by about maybe 600-700 people that I needed to build this thing in the first place. Long time ago before I ever did. But I wasn't a really good team builder at that time. I only had a very small staff of different people, and I had limiting beliefs that I couldn't build this big, giant thing. And then I think a lot of it is because I was already busy making a lot of money teaching people, making really, really good money there. And I had to cut some of that out to be able to build this other side. And it was a long, long road, and I didn't know if I wanted to go down that road. And then I got banned from Facebook. So I was kind of forced in a certain direction to where, I'm not going to teach a lot of people Facebook ads for a little bit. And I was kind of wanting to build this anyway, and the market desperately needs this, this, and this. I mean, I couldn't even get the competition now to build an upsell for me. And as a direct response marketer from our industry, we know how easy an upsell is and how much money it can add to things. So when simple things like that weren't being added to what was in the marketplace, I knew I needed to build this. So I took the time. You helped me get my very first lead developer, which he's gone now, but you helped me get my very first lead developer, which was really, really great. We used to work insane hours. Every single day we would be getting up at 4 a.m. And he would get up same time with me, super, super early. And we would put in 10, 20-hour days every single day, which is pretty good because I needed something to keep my time busy at the same time because I was going crazy. I had lawsuits. I had lawyers. I had all this money going to lawyers and not a lot of money coming in because of my advertising business stopped. I stopped teaching how to do courses. I stopped spending ads on Facebook because I wasn't allowed to get on Facebook. So kind of everything over here halted. And then lawyers were all taking money over here, and then dev cost was all taking money over here, and then my hair was all kind of going right here. I'm not sure if you can tell, but it was a crazy time. It was a crazy time, and it was a good time to get started. And you helped me get the first developer there that helped us lay the entire foundation of what GearBubble is today. So it was crazy then, and then there's funding journeys and a bazillion other journeys along the way, but it was a crazy start. Yeah,
let's get into that stuff. But let me ask you a question because I just love the emotional side. Like the journey for founders and entrepreneurs is just so deep. Like I know exactly where you were because we were in the same phase where we kind of cut off all of our income coming in and we're just funding this behemoth of a project. And you have you're making progress, but at the same time you're having a heart attack because you don't know, you have no security. Like what were you feeling during that time? Were you kind of scared about what was going to happen?
Hope really is all it was. It's just I knew I was going to where I was supposed to be, and I was building what I was supposed to build for a very big, large group of people that needed the solutions that we were building. Was I going to make it there? I don't know. Was I going to get out of my lawsuit before I got time to launch it? I don't know. Because the lawsuit and stuff was only supposed to last 2 months. And then it'll last 9, 10. Wow. So development always takes 3 times longer than it's supposed to, and lawsuits always take 5 times longer than they're supposed to. So I was doing both of those at the same time. So that was a stressful time. But yeah, it was mainly just hope mindset. Luckily, I had done really, really well in terms of marketing before that. So I had a lot of cash to sit on at that point to get to where I needed to go. So that helped, but it was all siphoning out the door and a lot of uncertainty. And that was all I really had at that point was hope. I knew I was working to where I was supposed to be, and I knew I was working on something really, really great that could help a lot of people. But I didn't know if I was even going to get out of Facebook jail to launch it. I didn't know if we were going to make it to that part. Had we grown any slower, we would have ran out of money. Had we grown any faster, we would have shattered everywhere. So that's just how it works.
That's crazy to hear that. I mean, that sounds like the perfect growth cycle. And kind of, there's this moment as entrepreneurs we stress about things. It never feels perfect, but sometimes it is. It's like the perfect speed. And you probably would not have known it at that time. You probably felt like you needed to be faster or slower, but looking back now, it feels good. So you're saying that you almost ran out of money and you said you went down the funding path. What made you decide to go with funding? And I know a little bit about the loan situation, everything that kind of happened there. What kind of made you go in that area?
We needed it. That's the first and foremost is because I know I can sell very, very large amounts of stuff when I have a world-class product, whether it's a world-class information product, world-class software product, world-class premium SaaS, free SaaS. That's why we've done, tens of millions of dollars in sales. But I have to have world-class behind that. And the development that I have, we pay our developers a shit ton. We pay our developers a lot, and they make U.S.-based salaries, and they get paid time and a half for overtime, and they get paid double time for double overtime. And I pretty much let them work unlimited amounts as long as the things that we are bringing to market are things that the market need. It's because the other companies that we're competing against have almost $100 million in funding, and they can move very, very quick with that. So if we don't see that as a realistic opposition to the things that we're going, and we don't pace at that speed, and we don't get that aggressive, we'll lose. So it's more of a standpoint of I'm going to spend as much as we humanly possibly need to get to the world-class level that we want to get at. We want to be on top of where everything's at. We want to be competing with Shopify. We want to be competing with Amazon. And to get to those levels, we have to spend and spend and spend at the same point to be able to acquire those people and to most importantly build a proper foundation with world-class development and infrastructure that can support that type of scale. To do that, you got to spend way over $100,000 a month at the scale of usership that we have now. And to do that, you got to have funding. My pockets only go so deep because to build it and grow it is one thing, but to also scale at the same time, to have the processing power for those type of things. We did $7+ million in just December alone. And on some of the products that we were selling, the reserve that PayPal took from us was more than our profit margin. So the
Wow.
more that we sold, the more cash flow was just exiting the door left and right. So for me to like front that all myself, tough. So we had to get loans at different times for different reasons. And we probably still will, going on with the Series A that we're going to try and raise next, we probably still will need to get more loans and more funding for different reasons to expand internationally all around the globe. So the funding on my side, on one side, we were going to run out of money at one point. Then we got enough users, enough scale, enough growing from the amount of sales that we had to where we didn't need any funding again. And now the different ways that we want to continue to grow, we're going to have to go back and even get more funding to do so. But, the company's worth a ton of money, so I'm okay doing that with the cash flow that we have coming in, the ability to scale at the international level that we have. It's worth a lot of money, so it's okay to do those type of things. Eventually, at some time, you don't have to do double overtime and triple overtime and all those, but continuing through most of the rest of the year with the aggressive plans that I have, we're going to be aggressively spending.
Is that kind of the mentality and like the pitch that you bring to investors, especially early on? Because you're going against, like you said, $100 million funded companies, and you're a smaller startup, and you're explaining the plans and the vision, and maybe your product wasn't all the way complete, or it wasn't as far down the road as you wanted, and you needed to get more money to take it to the finish line. How did you convince or really sell the investing team or the investors on the vision and that you could actually take it there? How did you do that? I mean, obviously you have a great vision, but hustle is only so much. When you say I'm going to hustle there, they don't always understand what that actually entails.
I mean, a lot of it was guesswork and just putting the pitch decks together and going out and pitching people and making myself very vulnerable. I think on the first, because we've only done the seed funding twice, I don't want to disclose too much of it, but on the first one, I think I had to redo my presentation like 13 times. Because there was a different feedback I got. So like the first time I did this real long presentation, not super long because as you can probably tell, I talk fast. Not a super long presentation, but like I did all this presentation and then I sent it to my mentor and he's like, take this out, take this out, take this out, take this out, talk about this. I'm just like, spent like 5 days on that thing. And then I had to go back and redo it again. And the journey was a lot of it too, because people can tell if you're kind of crazy insane with what you're doing. So like when I was raising the first seed funding, I went to Dubai to get with meetings and other people to where I had to catch a flight back with only like 45 minutes to spare to go meet another guy at 7 a.m. in San Francisco the next morning to have another about funding where I barely made it to that flight. And I was squished between two giant guys the whole way back from Dubai, no sleep, and didn't get funding from either one of the people at that time. But like a couple weeks later, the guy that I initially met in Dubai for like that hour and a half ended up being my first initial seed funder. So it's kind of a mix of everything. Like the people that end up in, especially the seed level, the people at the seed level are investing in the people, they're investing in vision, they're investing in your crazy work ethic. Series A now, it's a little more mathematics. Like they want to know how much they're going to make, what my goal is for the next 3 years, how we're going to go from 100,000 sellers to 1 million, how we're going to go from 1 million customers to 10, 100 million, and each profit margin along the way, how much we make on necklaces, how much we make on mugs, every single nook and cranny, which is all much more theoretical in the very initial seed phase. So you can do more theoretical. Now where I'm at now, it's still theoretical what 3 years is going to look like, but it's a different pitch. But the first ones, you got to get people to believe in you more than anything else, and then you got to take a deal that you can take. So you'll have the deal that you want, and then you'll have the deal that you can take, and you're probably going to have something a little bit more in the middle.
That totally makes sense. That's quite interesting, though. I mean, let me ask you this. The guy starting broke on the Warrior Forum to now creating Series A decks. How does that feel? I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel like you actually can comprehend the growth that you've had over the past few years?
It's hard to comprehend and look back at it properly. I think it'll be easier in like another year or two because now it's still like every day I feel like I want to grow faster and every day I feel like it needs to be a little bit of a grind. So I'll look back every now and then, but usually I'm just looking forward. I'm looking forward. So I don't comprehend it too much. I probably should more. I should probably take more days to where I look back and I look at where we've come from here and there. I don't do it probably as often as I should. I think it's pretty damn sweet though when you mention it though. I think it's pretty.
It is. And you seem like you have such a good vision for the company, and you're a visionary. Like first and foremost, I can just tell listening to you, and I've always known that about you. You're a visionary. How do you stay so motivated and keep that vision so clearly in mind? I think I can even say for myself, some days when you are deep in the grind, the vision, the dream, the mission, all of it becomes so clouded and it's just so heavy and there's stress and there's so much stuff flying around all over the place. How do you maintain that drive to always push forward like that?
I mean, sometimes you get burnout, sometimes you have rough times, and you wrote a blog post, I think, on it, on not getting burnout. It's the most important thing a founder should do. I've been burnt out before at some points. Mostly, I've done a really great job of keeping away from it. For a few weeks in January, after we did this big, huge month in December, and I realized that PayPal pretty much kept all of our money, I was like, man, I'm tired. I need a nap. I need to go to sleep for a little bit. And you know what? After that month, I probably should have made a little money, but PayPal kept it all. And for a few weeks, I was a little down and out. But that's just part of the journey. My big thing is you got to make yourself responsible for a lot of things, a lot of people. You got to remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. And sometimes that gets muddied up. I'm really good at clearing it back, though, because I'm blessed that I had a really good spot in my life where I changed a lot of people's lives with information marketing and made a lot of people a lot of money and their first money online. And I think of some of the success stories I had back then, like Nishant, for example, is a good friend of yours and mine. And I think, I either get tired and I get unmotivated in different things. But then if I had to go a couple years in the future and look at someone like Nishant, for example, who's a guy that grew up in India, really poor, sold like his last cricket bat to invest in a trading of mine and completely changed his life. Now he's a multi-million dollar, very, very successful businessman that gets to take his family everywhere he wants in the world and different things like that. I look back at when I have troubling days and I go, all right, you have a duty to help people like that. What if you had to go back and explain to that person why you played small and you didn't get your information out there in an aggressive enough fashion to reach them? What if you had to go back and explain why they still slept on the floor in India instead of you getting your course out there or you getting your SaaS out there or you getting your thing out there that changed their lives? And when I think of it in that format, every now and then whenever it gets a little foggy, it becomes crystal clear again. Because I'm not here just to build, a product or a SaaS. I'm here to serve the market. And I'm here to change a bunch of people's lives. And one day that might be T-shirts. One day that might be necklaces. One day that might be a premium SaaS that helps the whole world with drop shipping. And it will change. This market changes very fast, the PPC market. And our why that we do here at GearBubble is we serve the sellers, not the million customers, which is great. We love them. But we're here to change the lives of a million sellers. And that's our why.
That is so amazing. And first of all, I absolutely love that perspective and I'm going to have to adopt it. And I think all of you guys listening should definitely adopt that as well. That was pretty amazing to hear. And it's pretty special because a lot of times we get so wrapped up in your own life and you get wrapped up in like the mission at hand or like a personal mission. But when you think about it from how you're serving the world, then those small excuses and that small amount of tiredness that you have or whatever small excuse you make up in your head for why you're not working that hard that day kind of disappears. But that's pretty amazing. Well, listen, do you want to talk about anything that's on the roadmap for GearBubble or any innovation things that you guys got working on? I want to know some secret stuff.
Oh, I keep most of it secret for a reason.
Oh, that's fine. You don't have to say it.
We've got some cool stuff coming out, new products. You'll probably see a big shift from us by June. But I can't say why because I got a bazillion competitors with way more money than me. So if I tell them in advance, then that's just stupid. Oh, yeah. I'd love to tell you because I'm very transparent. But with the business that I'm in and how much we get copied already, I can't tell you.
I understand. We have a very competitive marketplace as well. Yeah. And I get it. Well, you guys are a little bit of a different beast because you guys are all, you guys definitely have to copy each other really fast. But guys, go ahead, say it.
A little war between platforms. It's kind of fun. One does a price drop, the other does a price drop. One puts out a product, the other puts it out for 4 cents cheaper. It's a fun world.
Well, let me ask you this. That's like a marketplace sophistication level. Like when markets get to that certain level and you start competing over features and pricing and stuff like that, you guys all are battling each other. How do you step out of that? How do you become, instead of the competitor, the leader? Like how do you deal with that?
There's different ways. The thing is, we don't want to compete with like T-Chip and a couple other platforms to see who can go bankrupt fastest, losing down to 4 cents margin on shirts. Just not the right to be. We can put out premium SaaSes. We're doing great integrations with Amazon, eBay. I've seen different things like that to where we have what is really great for our super good PPC guys, and we have what's really great for our masses and people that are just trying to optimize their listing, make an extra couple $100 at home, and we can train those people. So where we want to really succeed is the information marketing side, the training side, the premium SaaS side, the integration and the technology, which is why we spend shitloads on development and we spend nothing on going and buying up t-shirt shops, because we have as much production as we need for the items that we're good at, and we put the money there where it's necessary. But we don't want to fight everybody down to 4 cents in margin to see who can lose their money the fastest. It's just not where we want to be. We want to give you innovative, crazy, awesome new ways to sell the same old tried and true products that nobody else can offer.
Do you think, or let me ask this, has your mission changed from the beginning? Or from the beginning, were you always thinking about the training? And I'm sorry if you hear a loud banging, someone's banging outside. But like, have you always been thinking about the training, thinking about the seller? And so you're just kind of leaning on like the mission statements you made from the beginning, and that's kind of driving vision. And the reason I asked this is because I was just reading this great book, and they just said like some of the things that they realized was they just kept leaning back on the one mission statement they had, and that's really what drove them forward. Or are you kind of adapting this as you go forward, looking for new areas to succeed in?
It's a combination of both. I mean, the market changes, and if you don't adapt and adjust and listen to the pulse of the market, then you'll die. And it's the same thing as that if you don't stand for something core, you'll die as well. So it's a combination of both. We first started, we were supposed to, I was making a bunch of money selling cell phone covers, and I was going to be like the Teespring of cell phone covers. We don't sell any cell phone covers, hardly at all. And originally we were like, all right, every single person's got a device out there. It's worked really well for shirts. I'm selling like a couple hundred phone covers a day, which at the time I was, and I was doing really well. By the time we got it to market, cell phone covers were still doing okay, but what we really needed was a mass array of all these different products, and we were building the infrastructure because we knew that in advance. Did we know we were going to eventually, be like the leader in jewelry at that time? Absolutely not. But as things moved, you follow the dollars, you follow the numbers, and you follow what your sellers are asking for. And that's what we're really good at is if we were lost, we'd ask you what to do next. I'm like, listen, what do you need? What do you need for me to serve you the best? How can I help you solve your drop shipping problems? How can I help you solve your on-demand problems? And, it's a combination of both. Having a core why and knowing what you're here for is great. But if you don't adjust, you'll die as well. So it's a combination of both.
Amazing. What would you say, or actually, let me rephrase it. If you knew how hard this journey was going to be, how many competitors, how fast you had to move, how much hustle and power and stress went into this journey, would you still go on it knowing what you know now?
Dude. Yeah. Yes and no and yes and no and yes and no. Some days it's incredible. It's great. It's awesome. Other days I'm like, dude, I could have just coached like 4 people and sat on the beach and chilled. There's some days where I'm like, yes, but that's why I have to go back to that core why. I could have sat on the beach and chilled, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to change, a million Nishant Bardwaj's lives around the world. And then I can sit on the beach once I've finished that. So I'd do it again. Certain days I'd probably answer you with a no, but overall, definitely a yes.
Yeah, man, I totally relate to that, and I know how it is, and maybe a lot of people on here probably may feel the same way. But it goes back to like that perspective that you were saying. It makes you think about on the tough days, you got to have the right perspective. But guys, what I want to do is I want to open it up to your questions. I would love everyone that's kind of on here listening. What questions do you have for Don? Maybe marketplace questions around e-commerce. I mean, this is totally interactive. So maybe questions about GearBubble or, about the journey itself. I mean, he's gone through everything from 0 to 7 figures in information marketing to building a SaaS to the hard periods to raising money. What kind of questions do you guys have? Pop it in chat here. We'd love to hear from you. What would you say, as you kind of wait for those, what would you say some key lessons that you've learned along the way are that you would really like to impart, maybe on your younger self or on someone who's just getting started?
You mean starting a startup or e-commerce?
Yeah, let's make that more specific. Let's say from advertising itself. Like the SaaS side, it's usually a little bit harder. Let's say you're getting into Facebook marketing and you're going to sell a product online, it doesn't matter if it's e-commerce or what, but if you're going to sell a product online, what would you kind of impart? Because you learned a lot in your PPC days.
I keep it simple. I mean, it's the same. It doesn't matter what you're selling. I mean, the first software I built as well, this works for all models. The first software I built sucked, but it sold. First shirts that I made sucked, but it sold. First pages that I ever made sucked, but they generated traffic. So just keep it simple. Don't let it overcomplicate it, because the biggest problem when you're getting into internet marketing is every single time it's information overload. Because if you're getting on Shopify, for example, is there, what theme do I have? What apps do I need? Do my apps work together? Does this product work? Is this optimized? Can I even take payments? That's what's been really good for the on-demand part, is because you can really dumb it down to very simple. Is it my design? Is it my targeting? Is it the product? Is it the targeting? So whatever you do, make it as simple as possible. If you're going to sell to an online business, is it I need to pick up the phone and call 100 people? Or is it I need to rank 100 videos and the phone calls will come in and then I close them? Whatever you have to do, make it as simple as humanly possible to make that first money online, to make that first sale, to get that first traffic, and worry about getting that first go first before you worry about anything 3 years down the road. Because Dave would say the same thing, that we probably both made a ton of money selling one problem, one solution software. It's not like Demio, it's not like GearBubble, but it got us started. It started us where we need to go. It's the same thing when I did products. When I first started selling information products, they were one problem, one solution. Here's how to get traffic. Here's how to monetize traffic. Here's how to do this. Here's how to get likes for niche pages. Here's how to do this for local. But keep it simple. Don't try and go after a whole big thing. Just do your best to find something that you can do one time a day. Keep it as consistent as possible, and keep getting that first sale as simple as humanly possible as well.
So one thing I think, just to add on to what you're saying, that I think is so smart, and you're still like this. You're still like a minimalist on technology and stuff like that. But I feel like you do a very good job of the marketing angle itself is what you focus on. Would you say that's true?
I focus on kind of. It's really about the product and the value that you're bringing to the marketplace. As long as you have a really great product, the angles are all there for it. Maybe you can't figure out the sexiest angle, and I can for anybody that's starting on a different one. But the reality is, if you have a really great product, angles are really easy. Like, your product solves very big holes in the marketplace. You've got tons of angles. I could give you a bazillion angles, and they all work. I could give you a lot of angles. I mean, this is a really great platform. It's really smooth. We haven't had any problems with it. Everything's really, really nice, and it's great. And all the holes that are in marketplaces from the different pieces that have came online. I've had other webinars where I've done for like a year straight. I couldn't get a replay to work. It's pretty fucking simple. Just like on GearBubble, I couldn't get an upsell for the platform I used to use as well. But I don't want to digress too far.
Yeah, I gotcha. Luciano said, "What is your biggest source of income these days? Is it GearBubble, POD product of the day, coaching? What are you working on these days?"
It's GearBubble for sure.
That's what your 100% focus is right now, right? It's just GearBubble.
The only time I do coaching and stuff like that is I do a mastermind where I told myself that I wanted to travel to all the coolest places in the world without losing money. And that's pretty much what happens. I don't lose money, but I don't make any money either. So I charge like $3,000 to $5,000 for that. I might make like a couple, like 20, 30 grand a year, but it takes a lot of my time. The reality is that I focus 100% on GearBubble. Anything I do on the side is usually semi-lifestyle-ish.
That's pretty cool, though. You looked at it as, how can I travel? And you made a solution to your own problem, and you get the end benefit out of it. I like that a lot. That's creative. Todd here said, "How did you find your first developer?" That's a pretty good one.
I paid David a bunch of money to find my first developer.
Well, that was for your stats. What about like your first software before that?
I would have paid David a bunch of money from knowing what I know now. That didn't work out so well. The first developers I had just lost me a shitload of money and never really gave any product of mine you've ever used software-wise was not from my first developers, because those never made it anywhere. So the first developers, I found out just how much I don't know about hiring developers when I went through them. Like, I don't know anything about technology. I know a lot about marketing, and now I've got a CTO that handles all that. But I went to Odesk, Upwork back at the time, or whatever it's called, and hired some people. I looked for the guys that were reasonable amount at the time. Good thing I didn't spend a lot on them, because I had no clue what I was doing. And pretty much I just tried to give them a vision of what I had from a marketer's brain, which is not how you give it to a developer, and none of it worked. But that's how I found my first developer.
Awesome. So moral of the story is hire me. Just kidding. Don't do that. Todd also asked, how did you keep from wasting a lot of money on bad advertising? Tough question.
I probably still do waste a little money on bad advertising. For the most part, I try to make some really big campaigns that work really, really well. If I'm doing a PPC campaign, it's something that's high ticket, like a $9.97 product or something like that, with no cost of goods. Odds are, with how good I am at advertising, because I'm pretty good at it, I'm going to make a lot of money on that. Some of the branding and awareness campaigns we do at GearBubble, some of them have theoretical margins where I can't actually attribute a direct ROI to it, but I can see sellers coming in more. I can see them taking place in more contests. So it's hard to say. I say we still do lose a little money on advertising here and there, and some of the campaigns we do, we make a lot of money on it. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on advertising this year alone, and I'd say we've got a return on most all of it that we can directly attribute. Sometimes we lose a little money. Most of the time we make money, but that's just kind of the ups and downs of advertising.
Yeah,
Sometimes we lose money on it.
That's you got to expect. It's a numbers game with advertising, and you got to expect some of those numbers are going to be bad, bad guesses. You're just looking at a thesis or a question, and you're trying to figure out which one is the right one, and there's no answer prior to doing that. Let me ask you a question: how much tracking, or what are you guys doing for tracking? How do you do that with advertising in a way that makes sense on a large scale like that?
Most of the time what we do is we set up a quick page in ClickFunnels, and then we use Facebook Pixel and Google Analytics if necessary, and we track it that way. We usually use Google if we're doing like a multi-medium campaign, and what I mean by that is if we're doing like a webinar to train people on how to sell on Amazon, which we do very often with Rachel, we'll run some ads on the right-hand side, we'll run some ads in the news feed, I'll email my sellers list, I'll post in the group, I'll post on my personal page, and Google will tell us kind of which medium is driving the right traffic and which ones are actually converting into leads and sales. But we don't try to go too far overboard. Again, it's about creating a great offer. We're not trying to do this big giant PPC media by scaling thing. We might going forward in June, but we're not trying to have big giant huge evergreen PPC campaigns, because currently right now we have a freemium offer, which is very difficult to say specifically this is what each new seller that comes in is worth. We can get a pretty good idea, but on the freemium offer right now, where one seller can come in and do 100,000 units, and then 100 sellers can come in and do no units, it gets a little trickier to buy. So we're kind of moving into some different spots where we can buy a lot of traffic. For example, the offer we've done with Rachel, which is an Amazon integration with her low-hanging system, we've bought a lot of traffic to that, because we know when someone comes in at $297, we can pay this much for the lead, and then everything they sell on mugs and stuff like that later is a bonus. And when we have SaaS and we have upfront costs and we have very easy to see metrics, we can scale a lot more. We're going to work on that a lot more later this year, but it's been difficult for us to pour the lever on advertising so far this year.
Got it. Vasilis asked a great question. If you could just pick and you only had one marketing tactic to use, what would it be?
That's a little difficult for me because I got a lot of assets in terms of emails and big lists sitting around, so I'm a little different. If you're new,
you're starting over from a beginning.
Starting over, I would definitely look at Facebook PPC. I would look at on-demand to keep it simple to get your first few sales, to get it going, and then I would look at drop shipping to be something that'll really make you good money. It'll break, and it'll have customers really having problems getting their orders and different things, but I see more people getting their first sales online with on-demand, and then getting their first big wins with drop shipping, and then mixing them together to have a sustainable e-commerce business. So keep it simple at first, $5-10 a day, a design a day, put a mug up a day, put a shirt up a day, test it every single day until you get your first wins. Then once you get those first wins, analyze it and say, all right, how can I get those first wins over and over and over? And after you do that, you have a good system that works, then start to solve more problems with drop shipping, and then mingle into a good e-commerce business. But be willing to spend a little bit of money and be consistent. Simple and consistent will have success every time.
That's amazing. That's amazing advice for everyone here. Simple and consistent. It's so easy, like Don said, to get into the technical overwhelm, into information overwhelm. Pick one way to go and just consistently focus on it. Make it simple. Pull out all the extra stuff. A lot of times, like Don said, and he's told me this advice on calls before, is that I think, too long term, I overcomplicate the problems. It's so easy for us to do that. So make it simple, guys, because you'll find the simple solution there. Couple questions here about developers, guys. I mean, maybe you have some advice based on where you guys are now because you've hired so many. How do you see your development hiring system? How has it changed from when you first started? I think that's kind of a better question for you guys.
Um, Basically, it was weird. At first, when I tried to do stuff myself, it didn't work well. Then David came and helped me found the foundation of my people, and I got one really incredible lead developer. And then after that, I found some people to kind of go with him. I found a senior dev that sucked, but I didn't know it at the time. Then I found a front end guy that worked really well, and I had two good people at that time. But it wasn't enough to build anywhere near what we have GearBubble today. And eventually, I got a CTO that does all of it. He does the hiring, he does the firing, he does everything in the technical department. He puts the sprints together, all the organization. I don't touch any of it, so I'm not good. For a guy that owns a tech company, I'm terrible at answering development questions, and I know that. That's why I've got a CTO that does all that for me. So I suck for that.
No, I think that was kind of the response that I wanted, which was either find someone that's going to be really great that can handle that side for you, because you may not know. So either have someone there, a CTO, an advisor. You guys can go on clarity.fm. You can talk to CTOs. You can get advice on the technical stacks. You can get advice on, you can find app developers on there. Kristen asked about app developer. You can go on there, clarity.fm. But talk to people that have the technology stacks and understand that you don't. I mean, you don't have to be super caught up on that area. Rob here. What's going on, man? How do you feel about organic traffic now that Facebook has completely stripped organic reach for the most part? And what tactics do you take to push organic reach on which platforms?
I don't waste time with it. I think that there's people that do well with it, but again, it's just a waste of my time. Organic traffic. If I was in like maybe one or two markets, maybe I would work with organic traffic. I see some people like First Blair does really well in the beer niche, and he does organic traffic, but he does live videos. He really engages with his audience. I think current day, to have organic traffic, you have to work really, really, really hard. And considering it's such a very tiny portion of the income and the energy I have to put forth to do that, it's just not worth it. I don't see anyone, like all the people I know that do big numbers, they don't care about organic traffic. The only people I know that even care about it are people that are building an individual one brand by itself on Shopify, and then they're caring about everything. They're caring about the deep email marketing, they're caring about the organic, the relationship, and everything. So unless you're deep in only one market, I would say do not care at all about the organic traffic, because the reality is because I know a lot about Rob, what you want is you want a global offer that you can scale as far as you can with PPC, but nothing else. You want email marketing to be a bonus. You want organic traffic to be a bonus. You want scalability to 10 niches to be a bonus. The reality is you want a winning offer that you can scale as far as you can get it with one simple traffic source. And then after you run out of that traffic source, then you try to run the ads other places, and then you come back to like that little cushy organic. I just think keep it simple. Organic current day has nothing to do with how we monetize anything.
That's really interesting. And again, that's mostly for e-commerce. And I think probably, would you give that same advice for other businesses, whether it's personal brand?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that it's organic, but you got to be content focused. I mean, a lot of the reason that I do as well as I do with GearBubble now is because I gave out such great content to my list in the marketplace for a very, very long time. So it's not so much about organic as it's about quality content consistently, and then organic just comes with that. So it's hard for me to answer that. Like if you're just running paid traffic and you're just trying to find new offers and all you care about is making money, then I don't care about organic. But if you want to build a deep-rooted brand, like I'm building a deep-rooted brand in the internet marketing space. I'm not building a deep-rooted brand in dogs. So I don't care about it in dogs because I'm in 16 different dog niches, and all I care about is measuring money in and money out. Now this deep-rooted brand, I'm going to care about organic maybe. Do I have blogs that do a lot of organic? Not nearly as much as I should, but I think it's important if you're doing, like I said, that one deep market.
Are you still posting to your niche pages?
Somebody, I think somewhere.
All right.
I think on the ones that we actively run traffic and sales, because we're mainly in the family markets now, in the demographic-based ones, because the scale is so much larger. So a lot of the old pages we have, they're just dead because it would cost us more to put a battle plan in place to consistently bring content than just to let them die and move on to the ones that work.
Makes sense. Luciano has a really good question here, and I know you have an amazing mentor. How did you find your mentor? And when you're first getting started, how do you find someone that's the right mentor for you, and how do you attract them?
My mentor is Cumbers, and I found him basically. I went to an event that he was holding with Greg Davis. I saw a Facebook ad for him, with smiling faces, and he just sold a business for 9 figures. And I couldn't find shit about this guy on Google. I'm like, what the hell? He's sold all these businesses, done all these things, and I can't find a thing of him on Google. So I was like, he comes pretty highly recommended from a few people. He's got one event that's over there for $3,000. I'm gonna go to the event, see if he's a real person, and then I'm gonna talk to him about questions. And I went to the event, and the value he was going to event was really, really great. And we had some ongoing conversations at the event. And it turns out the guy was the real deal, definitely the real deal, knew everything that I was trying to get to and grow to. So, I had no idea what 9 figures even looked like on paper, how to do that type of thing. And this guy's worth 9 figures. I'm just like, all right, I need to learn from this guy because $9 WSOs isn't getting me there. And I'm trying to figure out, I just knew that I needed somebody that had already been there with where we were trying to grow. And then I joined his mastermind. It cost tens of thousands of dollars. And then I got banned from Facebook. And then he pushed me along the way with GearBubble, helped mentor me along the way. Had I been banned from Facebook before joining the event, I probably would not have spent the money at that time to go join. So happened right thing at the right time. And I just kind of pushed my way towards doors. I didn't know it was going to be perfect, but I looked, it worked out really, really great.
That's amazing. And sometimes the journey just unfolds the way it should at the right times, even though in the moment we can't understand why it happened that way. But that's really cool. Guys, we only have about 5 minutes left. Want to wrap up. Any last questions, put it in the chat. Don, I just want to say, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your crazy busy schedule to sit with all of us. I love doing these calls. I love just learning the journey because it's so crazy. It's just a crazy journey. And I really appreciate you sharing some of that knowledge. And I've learned a lot, especially about perspective. Any last things that you would give to people as far as information about GearBubble or what they should know looking into e-commerce or getting started even?
I heard that Demio is really great and you should all use Demio.
I've heard that somewhere.
That's about all the advice I got for you, man.
That's awesome. Well, all right. Well, I appreciate everyone for coming out. I don't see any questions coming in. So, Don, I'll let you go. I really, really appreciate your time. As always, man, you're awesome. Everyone for coming out, thanks so much. I'm actually going to send an email with the replay of this, and I'm going to be picking a winner on today's call that's still on right now, and you're going to be getting a free month of Demio. So I'm going to reach out, and I'm going to pick someone at random. So congratulations for all you guys that stayed on. I'll see everyone very soon. And talk to you guys later. Bye. Oh, wait, real fast. Got to say one last thing. It looks like, as of right now, we're donating $117 to your charity of choice. So, guys, that's awesome. Thank you all for coming. And talk to you soon.